President Bola Tinubu has just presented Nigeria's largest budget in history to the National Assembly, and the numbers are absolutely staggering. We're talking about a whopping 58.47 trillion naira for the 2026 fiscal year. And what's getting everyone talking right now is the massive allocation going to defense, a cool 5.41 trillion naira. Now, before we dive deep into what this means for every Nigerian, let me paint the picture of what happened today at the National Assembly, because this is not just about numbers on paper, this is about the direction our country is heading. The president walked into a joint session of the Senate and House of Representatives earlier today, and the atmosphere was charged with anticipation because everyone knew this budget was going to be different. The moment he began reading the appropriation bill titled Budget of Restoration, Securing Peace, Rebuilding Prosperity, Nigerians both in the chambers and watching from home knew we were in for something big. This budget represents a 25% increase from the 2025 budget, and that alone tells you the government is planning some serious moves for next year. Now, let's talk about this defense allocation, because 5.41 trillion naira is not small money by any standard. With the security challenges Nigeria has been facing, from banditry in the northwest to insurgency in the northeast, kidnappings across various states, and the general insecurity that has made many Nigerians afraid to travel on certain roads, the government is clearly saying enough is enough. This defense budget is meant to equip our military, provide better training for our security personnel, acquire modern equipment and technology, and basically give our armed forces what they need to protect Nigerian lives and property. The president emphasized during his presentation that without security, there can be no meaningful development. And honestly, he has a point, because how can businesses thrive when people are afraid to go to their farms or open their shops? But defense is not the only sector getting attention in this budget. Infrastructure is receiving a massive boost, with allocations aimed at fixing our roads, expanding rail networks, and improving transportation systems across the country. Anyone who has traveled on Nigerian roads recently knows we desperately need this intervention, because the state of some federal highways is frankly embarrassing for a country of our size and potential. The budget also has significant provisions for education and healthcare, two sectors that many Nigerians have complained have been neglected for too long. What's particularly interesting about this budget presentation is the timing and the context. Nigeria's economy has been going through quite a journey since the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira, policies that this administration implemented and that have caused serious hardship for ordinary Nigerians. Inflation has been biting hard, the cost of living has skyrocketed, and many families are struggling to make ends meet. So when the government comes with a budget this size, people are asking the important questions like, where is this money coming from? How will it be funded? And most importantly, will ordinary Nigerians actually feel the impact of this spending? The president outlined that the budget will be financed through various sources, including oil revenue, which is interesting because Nigeria's oil production has been struggling to meet targets due to theft and pipeline vandalism. There are also projected revenues from taxes and other non-oil sources, and this is where it gets a bit concerning for many Nigerians, because with the government constantly looking for ways to increase revenue, there are fears that more taxes might be coming. The Nigeria tax bill that's currently being debated in the National Assembly has already generated massive controversy, with some regions feeling disadvantaged by the proposed changes, so you can imagine the anxiety people are feeling about how this huge budget will be funded. If you are finding this information valuable and you want to stay updated on how this budget will affect your daily life, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we'll be breaking down every aspect of this budget in the coming days and you don't want to miss any of it. We are going to be looking at specific allocations, what they mean for different sectors, and holding the government accountable to ensure these promises translate to real improvements for Nigerians. Now, the opposition has already started making noise about this budget, and they are raising valid concerns. Some lawmakers are questioning whether the government has the capacity to implement a budget of this magnitude effectively. Nigeria has a history of budget implementation challenges where money is allocated on paper, but the projects don't get executed, or worse, funds disappear into private pockets through corruption. The petroleum sector allocation alone is over 1 trillion naira, and with the history of corruption in that sector, many Nigerians are understandably skeptical. Social media is already buzzing with reactions, and while some people are cautiously optimistic, others are outright cynical, saying they've heard big budget promises before but haven't seen corresponding improvements in their lives. The education sector's allocation has also sparked debate, because while the numbers look impressive, teachers are still owed salaries in some states, many public schools lack basic facilities, and the Academic Staff Union of Universities just called off a strike not too long ago due to unmet promises. Healthcare workers are also watching closely because hospitals are still lacking essential drugs and equipment, and many Nigerians still travel abroad for medical treatment because they don't trust the local healthcare system. So the question on everyone's mind is whether this budget will finally be the one that changes things, or whether it's just another document full of nice figures that won't translate to better lives for citizens. The capital expenditure component of this budget is particularly significant, and this is the part that should lead to actual development and job creation if properly implemented. The government is betting big on infrastructure development, believing that better roads, reliable power supply, and improved transportation systems will stimulate economic growth and create opportunities for businesses to thrive. But implementation is key, and this is where past governments have failed woefully. As we move into 2026, every Nigerian will be watching to see how this budget performs, whether the security situation improves with that massive defense spending, whether our roads get better, whether schools and hospitals see real improvement, and whether the economy stabilizes enough for ordinary people to breathe easier. These are not just numbers in a budget document. These are decisions that will affect whether you can afford to feed your family, whether your children can get quality education, whether you feel safe in your own country, and whether Nigeria can finally begin to reach its enormous potential.